The stadium lights flicker against the velvet curtain of a late evening sky, and for a moment, everything stands still. The world waits not with noise, but with breath. A hush rolls over a crowd of thousands, a silence so complete that even the wind seems to hold itself together, as if aware that history is assembling itself inside the blocks. A young woman in GDR colors steps forward. Shoulders steady, posture tall, eyes locked on the straight line that separates who she used to be from who she is determined to become. Her heartbeat is not frantic, it is rhythmic, purposeful, a drumbeat of destiny. She knows that sprinting is more than running. It is the art of turning fractions of seconds into monuments. And tonight, she intends to carve her name into time itself. Her fingers trace the worn edges of the starting block, metal cooled by evening air, warmed by decades of ambition. Every sprinter who has knelt on such steel knows the unspoken truth. These blocks are confessionals. Before them, an athlete admits fear, ambition, pain, sacrifice. And when the gun goes, only truth remains. As she lowers herself into position, she exhales one last time, allowing the weight of childhood expectations, national pressure, and personal doubt to fall away. She listens not to the crowd, not to the officials, but to something deeper. The quiet voice inside her that has been present since the beginning, from the first time her shoes slapped cobblestones in a quiet East German neighborhood, telling her she was meant to run faster than the world believed she could. That she was born with something unteachable, fire. A camera sweeps across her face, capturing the intense calm in her expression. This is Silke Gladisch, a sprinter molded by discipline, sharpened by competition, and lifted by an inner resolve that has carried her through childhood winters, relentless training camps, political pressures, and the unforgiving gaze of history. She is a figure of power wrapped in grace, a woman whose determination has turned ordinary days into extraordinary milestones. Her journey does not begin on this track, but in a modest upbringing filled with curiosity, mischief, and the astonishing speed that first caught her teacher's attention. As a child, she ran not for medals or glory, but because running felt like freedom. It was the one place where no rules could catch her. Tonight, under these lights, her life feels like a circle closing. From the innocence of youth to the intensity of elite sport, from the crowded apartment blocks of the GDR to stadiums roaring her name, the story of Silke Gladisch-Möller is a story of propulsion forward, always forward. It is the tale of a girl who sprinted through expectations, systems, victories, and storms, discovering who she was, inside and beyond the stopwatch. The starter raises the gun, Silke lifts her head. The world holds its breath, and as the gunshot slices the silence open, everything that led her to this moment begins to unfold. Her story begins long before her feet leave the blocks. It begins with the child who dared to run. Silke Gladisch was born with a stride that adults struggled to understand. In the narrow alleys of her neighborhood, where kids played hopscotch and chased each other across patches of rough concrete, she couldn't just run, she flew. Even her parents noticed the unusual ease with which she moved. While other children tired, Silke seemed to gather speed with each step, as if some invisible force kept pushing her forward. But she was shy, thoughtful, almost introspective, fascinated by how running felt rather than what it brought. The thrill wasn't in beating anyone. It was in the sensation of wind brushing her face, the rhythm of her breath, the certainty that her body understood movement in a way her mind had yet to articulate. At school, her teachers saw it before she did. "This girl is special," one said after a playground race. "She has something in her legs, something fast, but talent alone doesn't create a champion, environment shapes it." In the structured world of East German sport, every promising young athlete was watched closely, and before long, Silke was guided into formal training. There, the air smelled of chalk, sweat, and determination. There were rules, timings, drills, routines. It was not always gentle, but it was clear. If you pushed, you improved. If you improved, you rose. And if you rose high enough, you became a symbol of national pride. She didn't see herself as a symbol. She was simply a teenager learning to stretch her limits, discovering how far she could push her lungs, her legs, her will. Her coaches pushed her hard not out of cruelty, but because they recognized a rare spark. She had the build, compact, powerful, with a natural explosiveness that made block starts feel like launching from a catapult. She had the focus, the ability to tune out noise, to stare down a track until it felt like an extension of her mind. And she had the mentality, hungry, determined, quietly fierce. But even the fiercest athletes face storms. Training in the GDR meant discipline beyond imagination. Early mornings that pierced winter frost, drills that left her legs trembling, timed runs where a single tenth of a second felt like the difference between being seen and being forgotten. There were days Silke questioned herself, not her talent, but the grind. "Why am I doing this?" she'd whisper under her breath after yet another exhausting session. And the answer always came back the same way, a simple truth echoing inside her: because she could go faster. Because the potential inside her was not meant to sit quietly. As she matured, so did her world. Competitions grew bigger, expectations grew heavier. Yet something beautiful happened. Silke's mindset shifted. Running was no longer about discovering her speed, it was about owning it. She wasn't just a girl with talent, she was becoming an athlete with purpose. She learned to treat nerves not as weakness but as fuel. She learned to study her competitors not to fear them, but to understand them. She learned to attack each race with strategy, precision, and absolute belief. She also learned to navigate the unique environment she lived in. The GDR was a world of strict structures and immense pressure, but also one where resources were allocated to those who excelled. Silke gained access to elite coaching, world-class tracks, physio support, but with privilege came scrutiny. Every race was watched, every performance mattered. Every slip was analyzed. To rise in such a system required not only talent but resilience. Her breakthrough came not in a major championship, but in a small meet where she ran a time that startled even her coaches. It wasn't just fast, it was elite. The type of time that shifts an athlete from promising to priority. Suddenly, Silke was on the radar. She began racing internationally, facing sprinters whose names intimidated her at first. But after each meet, she shaved off fractions of a second, closing the gap. "She's coming," spectators whispered, "the girl from the GDR. She's coming." She earned her place among the world's best through relentless consistency. Coaches marveled at her starts: clean, sharp, explosive. Her acceleration phase was nothing short of electric. And once she hit top speed, she held it with astonishing control, her form crisp, jaw relaxed, stride balanced like a metronome set to perfection. But behind the precision was a woman discovering the world beyond sport. Silke loved music, particularly rhythmic tracks that matched the tempo of her training runs. She enjoyed sketching, finding calm in the simple movement of pencil over paper. She valued close friendships, ones built on laughter rather than competition. And she treasured moments of silence, the rare pockets of solitude where she could breathe without expectation. Yet the world of elite athletics seldom remains quiet. Championships approached, and with them, the pressure of representing her country. Silke embraced the challenge. She didn't chase fame, fame chased her. What she chased was mastery. Her rise culminated in the mid-1980s, when she exploded into global prominence. Crowds began chanting her name. Commentators spoke of her with awe. Rivals feared her starts. And when she stood on the track at major championships, the stadium felt different, as if it knew something special was about to happen. Her greatest triumphs unfolded with cinematic intensity. The World Championships became her proving ground, where she turned raw talent into gold. The moments before each final were electric, cameras zooming in on her calm expression, crowds roaring, commentators building tension. Silke lowered herself into her blocks, heart steady, mind sharp. The gun fired, and she delivered. Race after race, she stunned the world with performances that blended power and elegance, aggression and precision. Her victories were not accidents, they were the result of years of sacrifice and discipline. In the relay, she became the kind of teammate every squad dreams of: reliable, explosive, fearless in the handover, anchoring her nation to glory. But behind the medals was a woman navigating the complexities of life in a divided nation. She was proud of her achievements, but she longed for simplicity: an evening without training plans, a day without public scrutiny. After her peak years, as Germany moved toward reunification, Silke stepped into a new chapter. She married, becoming Silke Gladisch-Möller, embracing not only a new last name but an expanded identity. She learned to balance her past as a world champion with her future as a woman seeking purpose beyond the track. She found joy in family life, in slowing down, in rediscovering the world at a human pace rather than sprinting speed. Yet she never lost the fire that made her a champion. She continued to inspire younger athletes, sharing not just techniques but wisdom, the importance of balance, resilience, and self-belief. Her legacy is not just measured in medals. It is measured in the way she carried herself with humility, determination, and a quiet strength that spoke louder than cheers. It is measured in every young athlete who watched her race and whispered, "I want to run like that." It is measured in her decision to pursue excellence without losing her sense of humanity. Silke Gladisch-Möller remains one of the greatest sprinters to emerge from the GDR, a symbol of speed, courage, and endurance. Her life reminds us that champions are not defined solely by victories, but by the roads they travel to reach them, the challenges they overcome, and the grace with which they evolve. At the heart of her story lies a simple truth: greatness is not given. It is built one stride, one setback, one triumph at a time. And long after the stadium lights dim, the echoes of her footsteps still race across history. Thank you for watching this cinematic journey on Behind the Medal. If Silke's story inspired you, if her resilience, her fire, and her unstoppable spirit moved you, then make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs motivation today, and subscribe for more powerful stories of athletes who define greatness. Your support helps us bring these untold journeys to life. Stay inspired, stay determined, and always keep chasing your finish line.